All right, so we're back with another video. The nose is out of jail. I do these videos looking at the camera without any sort of script, and I try to do it in one single take. So I might get some ums and uhs. It happens, but at the same time, this is as authentic as it gets. I may not be 100% factual. I may get 95% of it right, but I do my best. And I speak on the behalf of my experiences as someone that's been on hormones for 13 years, as well as interacting with the transgender community and just trying to mitigate some of these snowball effects of what's happening against our rights and just the experiences of me going in public and just based off of others to try to inform the general public of what it's like to be trans in this day and age. So it's 2026. It's March 17th today. The past 3 weeks have been crazy. Now there's been a lot going on as far as anti-trans bills literally across the entire United States, many of which are absolutely terrifying but don't ever really pick up that much traction. One of the ones that kind of slipped through the cracks was the Kansas bill more recently, which was the the ID and the birth certificate, completely nullifying them without any downtime, just overnight, increased penalties for these individuals, so they can't even get to the DMV if they're driving themselves. Increased penalties with jail time and fees or something like that. But at the same time, it's this all happened instantaneously overnight. There were videos of this one cis woman calling the state representative or somebody that trying to get into the information. They're I can't get into that, and they hung up on them. This is just a blatant attack on trans people, and so this is one of the examples of something slipping through the cracks, one of these extreme instances where they then try to implement in other states. We look at other states now, like Oklahoma, which is trying to do this. Idaho has some sketchy stuff going on right now. Iowa has a fun one that recently came out that's just nullifying basic human right protections of housing and job security and your access to sports, which nobody actually cares about because there's 11 trans people in sports in the entire United States. I mean, this is where we're kind of at. But yeah, in the future, maybe there'll be more trans people. But the future trans people are going to be very passing trans people because they've been on beta blockers, and people don't understand that oh, beta blockers, this is the whole other thing, that it's just these kids are doing irreversible damage by taking these medications. I came from the perspective of I don't care about trans youth. I can't process it. I have enough to worry about with myself. But over time, you read enough articles, you talk to your doctor enough. I literally have my doctor that prescribes me hormones on my cell phone. I'm able to reach them pretty much anytime I want. We have hours and hours long conversations. And the thing is, they don't give hormones to youth. They give puberty blockers. These puberty blockers, there's so much stigma behind it. They cause irreversible damage. They cause no damage. If anything, they make them less of a bulking muscular guy. There's no point for that in society anymore. We have construction machines. We have cities that are built. There's no reason to have these hulking masses of men. And if we need them, we can just turn to men. We can just use the men in the society. We don't need this 1% of people that are trying to live their lives or make a decision. There's this whole thing of you get a little window of time to make this decision. The argument that I continue to see is, oh, puberty blockers, this causes irreversible damage, and then once you start puberty blockers, you don't know what you're and these poor kids, and they don't know to make the decision. Literally every trans person ever would be I wish I started puberty blockers. I wish I started hormones sooner. That's the story of a lifetime for every trans person that ever started hormones past 21. Because they wanted better results. They wanted to be able to pass better, and they wanted to not have to face harassment in public. I do Omegle videos. I do this for entertainment. I'm doing this on the side, and nobody loves their job, and this isn't even a job for me at this point or anything, but I'd love to make it some sort of financial stability and freedom and escape of just interacting with the rednecks that I live around. But at the same time, when I go on there, Yeah, I get how many clips. I've put up almost 2 hours worth of videos of Omegle clips on YouTube at this point. But to get those clips, literally one clip, I have to go through like 20 uh, people for like a single clip, and I might not use that clip. And there'll be like 3 or 4 little kids waving around guns and like doing drugs and like holding hundreds and hundreds of dollars and whatever. Then I'll get like a religious freak that'll be like, Jesus loves you and you're making a mistake and whatever. Okay, well, Jesus took a rib from Adam and turned it into Eve. Jesus likes trans people. If he didn't like trans people, he wouldn't have made it medically possible for people to transition. He wouldn't have made over 300 species in the wild be trans, be able to change their gender. There's certain fish that can just like literally change their gender. Like if anybody wants to look this up, but whenever I talk about it or try to like elaborate on this, people get upset. The whole other thing was like the trans sport ban and all this that was going on, and with the college kids, that there's like 550,000 college trans out, or there's 550,000 athletes in college, and like 11 of them are trans. And I'm sure that's backpedaled since then, because they're just like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to end up on like every single news feed and like these horrible pictures and angles of me being used and like my quotes being taken out of context just to serve a certain agenda. Also, there's now like video, like little GIF, whatever things of like trans people that like there used to be ones that were like hypnotizing you to become trans or whatever, and that was like the one thing that they were forcing like maybe 10 years ago on like 4chan, stuff like that. At this point, there's other ones that are just like, there's only 3 uses for trans women under fascism, and they'll push stuff like that. And this is what a trans woman looks like in the women's room, and it's just showing like a trans woman with an erection. It's like, so it's like, this is like the cultural shift of whatever, like people accept and understand that there's like a fascist control of the trans community, and like there's like this whole like weird mentality of like, yeah, this is what like we're trying to do, and like, yeah, we're succeeding, and like some people celebrate and, you know, love it. At the same time, again, on Omegle, I see people with the Nazi, you know, the symbol. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, like, but yeah, they have like the flag. There'll be people with the flag and whatever. They're all the time. Like this happens. There's literally people like on Omegle. There's like a dude jerking it. Like literally like 1 out of 5 people that I interact with. There's people that think I'm a girl. Immediately, like they're just like, oh, like biological girl, no questions asked, and be like, hey, can I see your feet? Can you lift your shirt? Like this is just like, but that's not how I interact with people. That's not how trans people interact with people. And that's something that people don't understand, because everybody gets their like mindset of like what trans people are from watching adult entertainment, because trans people are kind of ultimately forced into adult entertainment if they don't have other options, if they don't have other decent people in their lives allowing them to work in a more civil workplace, if that's the direction that they absolutely have to go with their lives. And some of them make a financial killing, but it's not enough for the amount of trans people that think that this is going to make them a financial killing, and they go into this lifestyle and they try to achieve that, and they fall short, and like then it's just used against them for the rest of their lives. Like, what do you want us to do? So like, it's just a really weird time. There's so many different weird pieces to this. On top of that, we have ICE detention facilities that were just approved to target, like the ICE agents were just approved to target transgender individuals to nullify their visas. So they're targeting trans people specifically, right? So we have this going on, which is just really kind of cool and fun and awesome, because I haven't already seen the videos of like the green-haired girl getting dragged around in the streets, and it was just a cis woman, right? Cis is a biological female that started a female at birth, right? If I have to explain it every video, I don't know, because like some people don't know, but this is like where we're at as a society, that like the ICE detention facilities do not have to give hormonal medication. They haven't been giving medication to anyone anyway. People have been like, oh no, they have to give you medication. They literally were just like, yeah, we're not doing that, for how many months that this was going on. But this is specifically dangerous to trans people, because this one either causes irreversible changes, body hair, we have to go for electrolysis, psychological changes, bone development changes, possible autoimmune conditions developing by stopping medication for a certain amount of time that we shouldn't have to ever stop. If like you understood that like our medication costs, I don't know, maybe $160 a year. There's no reason to like do that whenever literally the Iran war that's been going on covered every trans person in America getting every version of transitional care, every sort of gender affirming care, surgeries, everything. In 3 days, they covered 2 years worth of every trans person being completely covered. This is our priority. This is where we need to kind of like take a step back and be like, what are we actually doing here? There's so many people that are hungry in the United States. We're just like causing more harm, kind of thing. Does any of this like correlate and do people understand that maybe we're not on the right track with things? But I think most people do. I think like there's just so many bots online. I think there's so much like mob mentality within the bot comments that some people fall in line with that and then they go, oh, okay. But like ultimately, this is just kind of like the craziest thing ever because like, again, like the ICE facilities denying hormones. They never withheld anybody in these detention centers way longer than they should have. They definitely give everyone's documentation back to them after they leave the facility, after they leave the detention center. They weren't recently approved for medical waste incinerators, for medical waste and nothing else. So like I certainly don't feel like as a trans person that someday one day there may be a random ICE agent that like baits me because they need their car fixed and I'm a decent person and go try to help them like fix their car or whatever and they're broken down at the side of the road, get taken into the back of their car. I've seen the videos. These things happen, right? And then end up in an incinerator. I mean, it's not that far-fetched. We have the Lumpkin Institute of Genocide Prevention or whatever, I think that I said that right, that is going on and on about like the transgender genocide in America. It's hard for anybody to really focus on that whenever there's this war going on, but at the same time, I understand why so many people have their everything like spread out because there's only so much like attention span that you can put into things. There's only so much that that you can focus on, and we're literally just getting bombarded with like everything at once. And so I understand why like some people just aren't focused or care about trans rights because they don't live this life. At the same time, it's really hard to just like try to be a decent person, go work at like a normal 9 to 5 job with people that like for sure wouldn't care if you're dead one way or the other. Which just feels isolating as a member of society. You never had that feeling before transitioning, or I didn't, that like people just straight up just want you to not exist. I see it on Omegle. I see these little kids calling me a tranny. That's literally like the hard R word for black people. You don't do that. That's our word. If we're going to use it, we're going to use it. And like, I don't even use it because it's kind of like not cool. But this is where we're at. Like that these little kids are just like, but like day in and day out, I'm trans. I'm not just like, I didn't make this decision today. And then like 2 weeks, I'm going to be a guy. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You can't start and stop and not expect like body hair and, like I said, autoimmune conditions potentially arising, bone structure issues. There's a slew of things that we do not talk about as a society because we just like have a bunch of 40 IQs that we're trying to convince that, hey, once like these trans people stop their medication, they're going to go back to being guys. I talked to my doctor, like I said. And when I stopped hormones years ago, I was on for 2 years, off for 2 years. When I was off for 2 years, I could not reach a male at birth testosterone levels anymore. I would need to take supplements for the rest of my life to be that at this point. So why the fuck would I want to do that? Why the fuck would you have to make that decision for me? So I have to do that if I'm happier and already have understood that like this is the better gender for me. I function better. I exercise more. I live my life. I'm a decent person. For Christ's sake almighty, I actually am a decent person. I'm more like I'm more of a decent person than most of these people that identify as Christians, because like the way they live their lives, often you see how often it happens. Like, this is why I'm not religious. I don't fall for this and pick and choose out of a religion like what works best. We're literally fighting a religious war to bring back Jesus Christ right now in the Middle East. Like, I have a hard time being told that I'm mentally ill by people that, to me, feel like they're mentally ill. Does any of this make sense? Because, like, it's just a little bit insane right now what we're going through. It's a little bit insane how contradictive. And, like, again, people only get their ideas of, like, what trans people are from, like, adult entertainment because they search for us in adult entertainment and then go on to, like, portray us as like this is how we are in the real world kind of thing, when in reality they never even met a trans person, or if they did, they have no idea they met a trans person, because trans people today literally make us, like, older trans girls, completely jealous. I'm 34. Like, I don't look 34. I take care of myself a little bit, the bare minimum, and I look like a lot younger. I get aged a lot younger, which is cool, but at the same time it's like trans people nowadays pass and there's no issues, and there hasn't been an issue, and this bathroom issue that has never been an issue has been blown out of proportion. We have a video of a guy in the women's changing room in California from like 2020, and they're just like, I'm a woman, I identify as a woman, but they're clearly a guy. They definitely haven't even started hormones or anything. Like, they're clearly just a guy in there being a creep. Those people need reprimanded. We don't accept them in our community. That's not us. So it's just kind of really unfortunate how everything's kind of playing out. It's scary times for trans people. I think we're going to, maybe get through this. What's kind of interesting is, like, with all of these negative bills going around, there is a little bit of protection in my home state of Pennsylvania that was recently kind of announced, and they were going to push it through the state house into the state senate, and then have it signed by the governor, which it'll probably pass the house. It's going to be talked upon in a couple weeks. It's unlikely to get past the senate because there's more Republicans, and these people have politicized our existence. It doesn't seem fair. Like, it doesn't seem to make sense to me that, like, people that have no weight or bearing into our lifestyles have the ability to completely destroy our lifestyles. Do you understand how much time and energy and effort that I've put into myself? It may not look like it. I've done voice training. I've done, like, literally all this other stuff. There's not a point to convincing people, because after a certain point you realize people aren't going to accept you no matter what, and you might as well just live how you want to, with how you want to. I mean, that's kind of like the point of being, like, free to live how you want. It's a country of freedom, free speech, whatever. But this is kind of where we're at. The craziest thing to me is to see these things happening, that retroactively nullify IDs and birth certificates that take so much courage to be able to go into. If you're early transition, you're trying to make this decision, but you're going to do this with your life, and to do that then, or even if you wait 10 years, then the anxiety of, like, well, I already waited this long. It's like, but I really want to do this, and it's just like, I want to, and then they finally get it done, and you're going to retroactively nullify these gender markers, which isn't the end of the world. It's, like, not the end of the world. Like, the craziest thing for me, I have never given a single fucking shit if you said, like, I am a man or a woman. I don't want to be called a man. I'm not a guy. I'm not sending my genitals to a bunch of, like, girls all day long and being like, you want to, like, saying these, like, inappropriate things. I have gone through the messages of the guys. I have had at least 5,000 guys do this to me in the past 13 years. No joke. I'm lowballing that significantly. It's probably closer to 10,000. And I mean just through Facebook. I mean just through, like, simple dating apps. Like, people just being creeps. This is how it is. But at the same time, it's frustrating because, like, I would rather. Can we just, like, stop this insanity with, like, erasing trans people? And, like, as far as, like, the gender marker, can you say trans woman? I would rather it's just say trans woman. Then I don't have to feel like cis women, like, a female birth women, right, have to say, like, oh, you're not actually a woman. I don't have to have guys be like, well, you're not actually a woman. I'm a trans woman. I'm proudly a trans woman. I wouldn't want to be anything else. I want to be a trans woman. I would love for my documentation to say T, TF, or with the trans gender marker symbol. I would be cool with that. Can we just do that? Can we just do that? I mean, if trans people want to be, if people put that much effort into their transition and they want to be like, okay, but I am a female, that's, up to them. That's fine. Personally, I'm not trying to backpedal with anything. I understand when you start backpedaling and give people an inch, they take a mile. But at the same time, I feel like, ultimately, what do you want? What do you want from me? Listen, I'm not attracted to guys because they just suck. I'm not attracted to women because, like, why? And the only people that I'm into are other trans women, and it's really hard to be like, be there and try to like interact with other trans women when we are literally so sporadic, literally everywhere. But at the same time, it's like, it's really, 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 it's been unbelievably hard for the past 2 years just to be able to like hold a conversation without it being like, oh yeah, I know, and everything sucks, and like spiraling into a negativity and just like talking about politics. And it hasn't been cute or fun or attractive like it used to be. Can we just like stop this madness? I mean, what's going to be the point that like this like rolls over, like that this is just like, is there going to be a normality? At the same time, like once this presidency's over, once this regime has been changed, essentially, because like what else is it? It is literally like we're trying to get rid of immigrants, and we've literally gone from immigrants to, okay, we're going to get rid of trans youth care, no more transgender mutilation surgeries that only ever happened in 4 children that were 17, like ever, except for all the guys with gynecomastia that are developing a chest that had to get it removed because they gained so much weight. But now we've nullified that. So you want guys with hanging chests. You've taken that away from these guys that lose the weight and want to actually have a normal life. They always have to have hanging skin there. Congratulations. That's what you've done with your propaganda attacking trans people, because ultimately this affects you guys more than us. I don't see like these like bounty hunter bills in Kentucky and stuff lasting very long, because there's going to be a day that a cis woman is attacked and then it ends. That's literally what it's going to take, and it's not even going to be that long. That's what I'm picturing. That's what I predict, okay? I think everybody has their own predictions on things, but like, I think trans people are going to be fine. We're going to live in fear the whole time, but there's going to ultimately be a cis woman that doesn't look like the models on your phone, and they're going to be attacked one day, and that's how that's going to go. These are dangerous policies, and however you want to look at it, whatever. But like, fabricate what you want. Have your minds massaged by a certain news network for another 40 years. I don't give a fuck. At the same time, leave us alone. Let us live our lives. If our hormones that are dirt cheap are somehow an issue to you, then maybe you should stop your dirt cheap medications that you need. Did you have a heart surgery? Do you need insulin? Do you have an EpiPen? Do you just get rid of them? You don't need them. Why would you? It's against God's plan. Everything pharmaceuticals against God's plan. Get rid of your car. God didn't want you to drive. Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? That's how I feel. That's how I feel in this moment. I've had a lot of like emotion with everything going on, and I haven't wanted to make the video just because it's like there's just so many different little parts in it that are moving, and it's just like, is something going to get better? But it's never getting better. And then I'm sure there's going to be like another piece of news or two that come out against the community here in a couple days. There are people that identify as trans that don't medically transition. It's not necessarily something I agree with. I know a lot of people that are, like, will get mad at me if I say that. I think if you want to identify as trans, you have to transition. You have to be on hormones. You have to take some steps, however you may, interpret that. But if you're just dressing up, you're a femboy, you're a cross-dresser, or, you're a tomboy, or it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to like rob me of my identity, and you don't have to dilute what I am as an individual on a societal level. I've never been to these pride parades. I've never been to so like when I'm hearing like all these different things and allegations literally day in and day out trying to interact with people online. It's sickening and disturbing where people's minds go. I understand that we have this Epstein stuff going on, but at the same time, I don't think I deserve to be called a pedophile. That's never been in my interest. If you want to hear what, and I shouldn't have to explain myself by any means, but if you want to hear my dating history of like last year, I hooked up with a 20-year-old and I hooked up with a 19-year-old to like go on a walk, and then they kissed me. The 19-year-old kissed me at the end of the walk, and I was like, they're really immature. This is a little bit too young. I'm good. Okay? That's where I'm at with that. But at the same time, it's just like the people that accuse people of this are just like, and that's just like the crazy thing, because like I don't know. I don't know where we're going as a country. This is insane because they're trying to lower the age of like consent. Like, let's lower it to 14. Why? That's really sick and disgusting. The 20-year-old that I hung out with, they're extremely intelligent. They have like a MacGyver-like personality, and they have like all this intelligence about them. That's what's cool. That like to be able to like, you know, have like intelligent people within your circle kind of thing. I'm more like interested in people like that than like, I don't know, just as far as even just friendships. That's where it ended up anyway. It's just like, so I don't know what to say to people. I don't know what it's going to take for like, I don't know what it's going to take for the world to heal, because I think we're just doing irreparable damage at record numbers right now. I understand the trans issues aren't everyone's issues. I understand the trans people that are engulfed in these issues aren't even paying attention to the right people that cover these issues. They're going on the clickbaity articles of this and that and the other thing, and they'll share a map that Aaron in the Morning made over a year or two ago, and these are the states that you shouldn't visit, but it's like outdated, and like, so like we as a community, it's insane to be labeled a terrorist and all this garbage. And I see bumper stick. I have a picture of a bumper sticker of a guy that says like hunting all 56 genders, no body bags needed, stuff like that. This is where we've gotten, like the same guy with like rebel flags all over the back of their car. I see these things in the day-to-day life, but like in real life, walking around, interacting with people, I do not get told anything. I do not hear anything. I don't see people even whispering about me. Online is a little bit different. And in the real world, I think most people just mind their own business. I think for the most part, when people are online, they're just like hyper focusing on things, or they're just argumentative to begin with, and they just have like this negative personality, or they've drank enough alcohol for the past 2 weeks to like kill themselves, but they somehow are still here. So they went online and they decided to take their anger out on like, you know, other individuals. I don't know what it is. And I think it's crazy too. I can't get over it that how many people are like, you need therapy. You need to go. Bitch, I have a therapist. I'm probably the only one that's ever like out of these people that are saying you need a therapist. Have a therapist. I've asked these other people. I'm like, do you have a therapist? Or, no. Then why are you telling me to like uproot my life and change my life? If you like, obviously you're the negative person. Obviously you're the one with the issue. And the thing that's crazy is there's just so many of these people. It's so hard to want to just interact with the world anymore. I used to have like this more outgoing, like, okay, once I like when I like interact with people, like it'll be fun. Like it doesn't really matter, and like be more outgoing with these people in public. But it's reached the point of like, there really isn't a point. I do card magic and I try to approach people, and like I've worried like, oh, if I don't get this right and if I don't get like all this, then they're gonna notice. Literally nobody notices because again, there's so much 40 IQ, it's not even funny. It hurts to have some level of consciousness and cognitive ability, right? To have to live through this like little window of time. I hope things get better. I don't know if they will. They probably won't. Probably not for a long while. If we don't get the midterms, and we being Democrats, and I don't even know if the Democrats care enough. I mean, they're just like, oh, I see it doesn't affect my politics. Maybe we'll keep trans people around. And that's assuming the election isn't rigged here. there's been a lot of that going on. I mean, they're doing everything they possibly can to like hold everything down, but you know, we'll see what the future holds. Um, Unfortunately, yeah, some of us trans people have actually put in a lot of work into ourselves. Some of us have really tried for you all to look at us and accept us for who we are. I got this surgery on my face. I thought maybe, maybe it'll be a little bit more like once I go out in public that like other people will be like, okay, well this is girl and we're gonna leave girl alone. Even still, I'm gonna still be trans girl. People are gonna clock me in for something. I personally don't care. I'm happy being me. But if it means some ice goon holding me in a detention center for 4 months, withholding my medication, and costing me everything that I've done with my existence, this is the first time that I'm actually a little fearful to be in public. And I think that's what all this is. It's just catering to fear. If you don't have exorbitant amounts of money, if you're not highly renowned, you're not allowed to be trans anymore. Even in protected states, even in sanctuary cities. This is where we're trying to go with everything. And even the people with money, even the trans people with money, I don't know. I really don't know anymore. So that's my rant. I know, it's a lot. What do you want from me? Stay out of my DMs.